Look around. Everyone looks so amazing, so cool. Don't you want to be just like them? Don't you want to be rich and loved by those around you? Well, luckily for you, you can be. You just need to get a little lucky is all. Trust me, everyone else got lucky, so you can too. Don't worry about how much time they wasted getting what they have. If you get lucky, you won't need to spend much time here. Just join the game, click the button, and get what you want. It'll be so much fun. All you have to do is click the button. RNG Games. I'm sure you've seen them at this point, taking over the front page of Roblox in recent months. An oddity, really. How could a game idea as simple as standing around waiting for big numbers to appear get as popular as it did? It truly feels like there's something more to these games, something wrong with them. Today, I want to really get into these games, from their history down to their inner workings, as well as the exploitative nature of these games in the overall Roblox scene. So, let's get into it. RNG games can be described in a single, simple sentence. An RNG game is a game where the player clicks a button to roll for rare items or cosmetics. A simple idea for simple games. Let's really dig into that definition though, since, as it may seem, this is slightly oversimplifying. Basically, when the player joins an RNG game, they are given a button to roll. When they click this button, the game will give them a random item or a cosmetic and tell them the chances of getting that cosmetic anytime they click the roll button. Let's start with an example. Pretend there are 3 items in an RNG game. Common, which has a 1 in 2 chance of being obtained every time you click the button. Uncommon, which has a 1 in 4 chance of being obtained when clicking the button, and Legendary, which has a 1 in 8 chance of being obtained every time you click the button. With this example, we can expect the following outcomes. Every time you click the button, there is a 50% chance of getting Common, a 25% chance of getting an Uncommon, and a 12.5% chance of getting a Legendary. The goal of this game is then to get the rarest item possible, in this case, the Legendary item. This is only possible by clicking the roll button until you get lucky enough to get the Legendary, which, in terms of probability, you can expect to get within 8 rolls. This is a pretty basic example, but it works for showing you exactly how these games work. Usually, most games will have tons of items, ranging from really common to extraordinarily rare, and usually have a default item that you are guaranteed to get in the case that you don't actually get any items. But this all seems too simple. Why would people want to play a game where you just click a button in the hopes of getting rare items? This is where we dig into the psychological science behind it all, and how the creators exploit the players for their own gain. Before we talk about the science behind this all, I want to introduce you to an idea I recently discovered in my philosophy class in university. Insult to injury. I'm sure you've heard this saying before, since it is widely used in English. Basically, the idea of insult to injury means to make an already bad situation even worse. To me, I also like to think of insult to injury situations as situations that have 2 major issues with them, in which one of those issues plays off of the first. RNG games fit this exact definition, and as such, I'll explain both issues over the next 2 parts of the video: the psychological and scientific factors that go into these games, and how the creators use these factors for their own gain. The first major problem with RNG games, which I will call the injury, has to do with keeping the player addicted to the game. Let's start with the basics. No one wants to click a button to get something that just says, "Congrats, this has a 1 in 2 chance of being rolled," and then that's it. As such, the first thing RNG games do is make the items the players roll into tangible, real things that they can actually see. Cosmetics. By cosmetics, I mean something that will enhance the visual effects of their character in some way. Most games will do this by making their cosmetics as auras, which are basically just special effects which follow your character around and make them look cool. This achieves 2 things. The player can see that they are actually actively winning something, and it gives the player a reason to keep rolling for rarer items. The rarer the item, the cooler the cosmetic. Obviously, the second point makes sense. If you like how something looks and you can get a better version of it, you will try to get the better version. But why is the first point so important? Why does it matter if the player can see what they win? This is actually explained quite simply. If the player can see that they won something, their brain will release dopamine, which is the chemical that makes humans happy, therefore, obviously, making the player happy. With this kind of positive reinforcement, the player's brain will now associate rolling with being happy, therefore making the player actually want to click the roll button, since it means they will be happy even if they don't win. This is actually something I covered in my cookie clicker video, so if you want to hear more about brain chemicals and emotional reactions, then that video is also good for this kind of information. This also links back to the second point. If getting cool cosmetics means being happy, then it would make sense that getting really rare cosmetics would lead to being even happier, or at least that's what the brain thinks. Overall, with these 2 points combined, RNG games play off of natural human emotions and exploit them to get the player to keep on playing the game. Although cosmetics are easily the biggest and most important part in keeping players playing these games, there are still a few more factors which I want to talk about. The social factors. Humans are, by nature, social creatures. Whether or not you're the most introverted introvert or the most extroverted extrovert, all humans need social interaction. I've explained in previous videos why this is so, but I'll quickly explain it here again. Historically, being in groups usually leads to higher survival rates than being solo. This was especially true for ancient humans who needed to hunt and gather to survive. Being in large groups made it easier to protect each other, and made it easier to gather resources for survival. Together, these reasons were enough for humans to learn that being social creatures was clearly more advantageous than being solo. Once again, this is something I've covered in both my cookie clicker and Minecraft videos, so go watch them if you want more info, but that's really all we need for this video. But how does that relate to RNG games? Well, let's think about it. If being in a group means you are safer and more likely to survive, then it makes sense that you will want to do anything and everything you can to stay as a member of said group. This is why if you see a group of people doing something, you will feel inclined to try and copy them to try and stay as a member of that group. Obviously, in the modern day, survival isn't really a concern when you're alone, but the evolutionary behavior is still stuck around for modern humans, meaning we still want to try and fit into groups. For example, what if you see people laughing but didn't hear a joke? Naturally, you think that you better start laughing as well, or else they will think you're weird and kick you out of the group. This idea of people conforming to other group members' views in order to fit in is called the Ash paradigm, and multiple studies have been done on it, showing that humans are more likely to copy other humans around them when they are all in a group. As such, if a player sees other people with cool auras and sees them all rolling for even better auras, then they will also be inclined to do the same thing, since if they weren't also rolling for cool auras, then they will also be seen as outliers and not be socially accepted. Therefore, they are pushed to also join in on the rolling simply because everyone else is doing it. And that's about it for the scientific factors. Of course, there are many more factors that I could get into, but for the sake of keeping this video at a reasonable length, these are the 2 most important factors, so I'll keep it there. Now, let's get into how the creators use these factors for their own purposes. The second major problem of RNG games, and the one that plays off of the first problem, is called the insult. This problem comes from the technical reasons for the creators to keep players addicted to their games. Of course, it makes sense for the creators to want to have people playing their games, but just why is that? Well, the answer is obvious. Money, or in this case, Robux. The more people playing the game, the more Robux you will make from it, which can then be traded for real-life money. This, naturally, leads to another question. How do you get people to keep playing your game so you can maximize profits? This is achieved through 2 factors: addictiveness of the game and discoverability of the game, basically how easy it is to find. We already covered how RNG games accomplish the addictiveness part of this game, but how then do they accomplish the discoverability part of the game? This is done by maximizing these things: the like to dislike ratio and concurrent players. The like to dislike ratio is that percentage you see under the games, and concurrent players is how many players they have active at any given time. These 2 factors are easily explained. The more a game is liked, the more likely Roblox will recommend it to players. Further, the more players a game has, the more likely it will appear on the front page. Simple as that. How, then, does a game maximize both of these? We actually already have the answer to this question. We just have to look back to the scientific reasons as to why players want to play these games. If players join RNG games, they will start rolling for items. This, naturally, will make them happy for the reasons I described above. This will make them think that they enjoy the game, leading to them giving the game a like, therefore increasing the like to dislike ratio. During this time, since Roblox recommends games with more players to a wider audience, since the game has some players already addicted to the game, increasing its player count, the game will get recommended to even more players, leading to an exponentially increasing cycle of getting players to play the game, which leads to even more players joining and getting addicted. The reason that getting the players addicted to the game is important is because of two reasons. The first is that the longer the player stays in the game, the higher chance the game will be recommended, since the player count is increased and will continue to increase as long as people don't leave. The second is due to profits increasing every time people join. When a player joins a game, they can give the creator Robux in two ways, paying for in-game products or by being a premium user. Paying for in-game products is simple. If the player pays for something, the creator gets profit. Further, every time the player joins a game, there's a greater chance they will want to buy something from it in order to progress further into the game that they clearly enjoy. Second, being a premium user actually gives creators Robux just for them being in the game. Every time a premium user joins a Roblox game, Roblox will pay the creator a certain amount of Robux whenever they play. These Robux rewards are called premium payouts and are often why games reward premium players with free stuff. It gets them to come back to continue giving the creator premium payouts. With this answered, we now know why these two factors are important for increasing profits. Making your game easy to find on Roblox will lead to a large amount of people willing to purchase in-game purchases, and a large amount of premium players joining your game, leading to massive profits. Further, if the player then gets addicted to the game, it will lead to even easier discovery of the game, exponentially worsening the cycle. Now, I'm sure you're thinking, how exactly is this evil? Isn't this just game development? To that I say, yes, it is game development. However, the issue arises from this. It's a form of gambling. Sure, you may not be spending real money on it, and you may not even be spending Robux on it. But there is still something valuable you are spending on it. Time. Just because you don't lose something tangible, doesn't mean you don't lose something valuable. To me, there's something inherently evil about stealing a human being's time in this world, only for you to make money from it. These players could be doing something useful with their time, whether it's something in real life or even just another game that someone has put tons of hard work into that simply doesn't get the attention it deserves. But instead, these players became addicted to clicking a button. Their time is wasting away, and all for what? To make someone else money? To me, RNG games are the pinnacle of modern greed. The players no longer matter, and the only thing that matters is increasing profits. It seems like modern video games are reaching a turning point, one where companies are slowly forgetting what it means to be video game creators. There's nothing wrong with wanting to make money. However, there is an issue with how you make the money. Humans are not on this planet to make money, nor are we here to make other people money. When that time gets taken away, a person loses the most valuable thing they have, their own lives. But it feels almost hopeless, doesn't it? When every game seems to be going downhill and down the paths of greed and malice. What hope is there for us to have a happy ending to this all? Well, here's the answer. Who said we needed to finish this story? Who said we can't start another? If games are just going to get worse and worse, never changing for the better, then we must change ourselves for the better. There's a whole world out there for us to enjoy, take care of, and protect. Money is not, and never will be, the most important thing for humans, nor should it be. If companies want to keep trying to push people to give them money, then remember this: you don't owe them anything. Companies are meant to earn their money from people, not the other way around. People don't owe companies anything, and never will. Your time and happiness are far more important than any buttons on the screen or any number of Robux you might see. For if your time isn't spent being happy, then your time isn't worth being spent at all. Thanks for watching. Let's have a real talk for a second, just me and you. I'm kind of at a point in my life where everything is changing. All the things that I once loved and enjoyed have now just become memories of the past and emotions I try to hold near to my heart for fear of losing them. I'm going into my 20s now and I'm nearing the final stretch of university. But I'm also at a point where I want to do more with my life than just be happy. Of course, happiness is still my #1 priority, but rather than just being happy for a single moment, I want to be happy with my entire life. My happiness is sort of transforming from something simple into something more complex that I can really start to feel now. Some things that I used to do as a kid and still do now are just getting too old for me. And I want to start moving forward towards things that will make me truly happy rather than some momentary happiness. So what is all of this to say? Well, it's to say that, in a way, this video is kind of a personal essay about myself rather than about the actual state of things as a whole. By this, I mean that when I say I feel like games are reaching a turning point, it's actually me that's reached a turning point. and now I want to change my own life for the better in ways that I deem fit. By the way, just get this out of the way, this is by no means any sort of quitting message. I still enjoy making videos and I do want to continue doing them. But this video is probably the last one that I deem as before my own personal turning point. From here on out, I want to make videos that come from my heart rather than purely my brain. I want to put my emotions and my soul into my creations, and if I can't do that, I'd rather not make videos at all. So long story short, expect more emotional videos in the future, and ones that I feel are near and dear to me as a changing person. Anyways, enough sappiness. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, remember to like and subscribe. I enjoy seeing people leave comments and I enjoy seeing the real impact I make on people who watch my videos. If you did enjoy, perhaps sharing this video with some friends would help me out as well. But hey, that's enough begging for me. What matters is you enjoying the video. I'll see you around. Have a good day.